What is going on, my crazy 76er fanatics, guys? Thanks for stopping back in for another daily pod with your daily 76ers discourse discussion. Thanks for keeping the pod growing, the conversation flowing, and looking at these Sixers with a very critical eye and a very critical lens. Because the team we thought we had, I'll be honest with you, they are no longer here. I thought we had a very sad team, an underperforming team, a team that was constructed by a blind man who doesn't know basketball. But this team right here looks a little better than that. I'm not going to give them too many flowers, guys. They just beat the Sacramento Kings. They beat them by a handed amount, which could be the Kings not trying to win, the coaching staff and the front office putting players in that don't really push the envelope in terms of making the game competitive, or these Sixers really just outperformed expectations. Those are two ways you can look at that game. And the really close watchers saw what I saw. They saw Justin Edwards for the last 3-4 games outperforming Quentin Grimes. Who has earned minutes when Paul George, Maxey, Embiid, and Kelly Oubre are all back in the lineup? Your starting five or your closing five or the most dominant or a lump sum of minutes to the five should go to those four players, including VJ Edgecombe. So you have VJ, Maxey, Oubre, George, and Embiid. Those are the five guys that can start the game, close the game, but should be playing most of the minutes in the game. Who else has earned minutes in those rotations? Who else has stood out and played extremely well? There are a few players that I definitely think need to get some opportunity in play-in, in playoff, in competitive scenarios because they are stepping up. They seem to be fitting the scheme well, and they definitely seem to understand their roles on how to help the team. Justin Edwards, who started the season off extremely streaky, maybe just needed to get to his midseason flow, maybe just needed more reps, more opportunity, and a longer leash so he could play freer with less mistakes. And if he's making mistakes, he's still out there so he can go out there and be great. Justin Edwards, I feel more comfortable giving him minutes over Quentin Grimes. Now, that right there could be a conversation that many Sixer fans don't agree with. But if you can give Justin Edwards the minutes you give Quentin Grimes, you have a taller, you have a longer, and maybe you have a more shot-ready offensive player, because Quentin Grimes is not shot ready. His three-point shooting has been streaky all month. It's been streaky since January, and his three-point shooting doesn't seem to be getting better. Him attacking the basket, though. Quentin Grimes has shown his athleticism, shown his explosion, shows his quick twitch ability to cross over and get to the basket, finish on the left side, the right side, all with the right hand as well. But he's still, again, one of the best players at attacking the basket this team has currently. Now, when you know the shots that he will be able to take when all the team is at full strength, I want Maxey going to the basket. I want Embiid going to the basket. I want Kelly Oubre going to the basket. And then it's a toss-up between if I want Quentin Grimes or Paul George taking those next steps of reps of attacking the paint. But I'm not giving Quentin Grimes an opportunity to go and try to make layups over Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. So his shot selection is going to have to be more team-friendly, which his shot selection is going to have to look more like Justin Edwards does currently. Because Justin Edwards, catch and shoot, catch, pump fake, one dribble, pull up, those are the shots that are going to be available all season long. For the rest of the season and in the postseason, those shots are going to be available to the helping hands, the rotational players. And Quentin Grimes has not shown that his one dribble pull-up shot is even there. Doesn't seem to be in his repertoire. Quentin Grimes does sometimes dribble the air out the ball, does sometimes dribble into double teams, and does sometimes dribble into a clogged or clouded paint area. These are things that you have not seen from Justin Edwards, who knows that the quicker he gets his shot off, the better that he's playing, the more efficiently that his game's going to be for this team. I think Justin Edwards may have earned those sixth man or seventh man minutes over Quentin Grimes. I definitely do. Speaking of over Quentin Grimes, guys, let's just look at this seeding in the Eastern Conference, guys. The current win streak in the last 10-game records, that's really what matters, because it lets you know if these teams are playing better or playing worse. At this point in the season, if you can't put together a consistent string of wins, you are losing your confidence. You are not buying into your chemistry, and you may even want to change your coaching schemes and some of your rotations. Look at this right here. Now, the stars are the games and the matchups the Sixers have for the remainder of the seasons against a few opponents. That would be Charlotte, that would be Miami, and that would be the Detroit Pistons. Outside of that, guys, look at the wins, look at the losses, look what's going on. The Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, the teams that are closest to the Sixers in standings, right above them, they keep dropping games. Orlando lost 3 games, and they lost a big one to Charlotte. Miami's lost the last 3 games, and they don't even know their rotation. Speaking of changing their rotation, they have an all-star in Norman Powell coming off of the bench. Coming off of the bench. Look at these seeds, guys. Look at the standings a little bit. Look at who's hot. Look at who's not. And now we're coming back, guys. And now we're coming back. Because one thing about the seeding is, I will say, the Sixers get some of their players back healthy. The Sixers get some of these pieces ready to play, ready to compete, and on one accord. I think it's a guarantee that you're looking at a team that can squeak out and sneak out at least the 8th seed. At least the 8th seed. They're 2 games ahead of Charlotte right now. They're a half game back from the 6th seed. Just a half game back from the 6th seed. And they have a very easier schedule than some of these other teams. They play Utah. They play Chicago. They play the Wizards. They play the banged up Pistons. They play a lot of teams that realistically they have a chance of beating. Now, they do play some tougher teams. They play OKC. They do play Miami. They do play the Spurs. They play some tougher teams along the way. But if they're able to sneak out a tough victory and handle business, guys, looking at a Sixer team that we thought was a guaranteed 10th seeded squad, if they can continue to win, if Nick Nurse can continue to put lineups out there that can compete, that can contend, you're looking at an 8th seeded Sixer squad, which could sneak out a 7th seed in the playoffs. And if we're talking about playoff seeding, guys, because playoffs is all that matters, the Detroit Pistons, Detroit, may lose a lot of games without Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, who has a collapsed lung and who needs ample time to recover, ample time to come back and play great. Look at that right there. Look at it. The Boston Celtics are 7-3. The Knicks are 7-3, and the Pistons are 5-5. It may be in the benefit. It may be in the best of Philadelphia to try to get that 7th seed, because the Pistons may drop a little bit. I'd rather play the Cade Cunningham-less Pistons than the Jason Tatum-acquired Boston Celtics. I'd rather play the Pistons than the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks. Also, guys, another thing and another reason why I think this team could be winning more, Paul George comes back Wednesday. Paul George makes his in-season, on-court return on Wednesday. And that's a big day. That's a big game. They play the Chicago Bulls on Wednesday, which should be a walk-away win. Here's what I'll say about Paul George's return. You want VJ Edgecombe to continue to play like VJ Edgecombe. You want Justin Edwards to play like Justin Edwards. And you want Quentin Grimes maybe to take a back seat so Paul George can find his shot and hit some twine. Because Paul George, if he goes out there against the Chicago Bulls and goes for 30, goes to try to be the man and take 25 shots, I don't want that. We don't need that. We need Paul George to get comfortable in the current role that he will be playing for this team come postseason, come playoffs. Because he's still not necessarily adjusted to the system and the scheme that Nick Nurse has for his team. He's not ready for that as of yet. The best thing that Paul George can do is to go in and fit in. Go in with this team and fit in with the scheme. Allow VJ Edgecombe to be the focal point of the offense. Allow VJ Edgecombe to be the initiator, and allow VJ Edgecombe to start each and every game off like he did the last one. VJ Edgecombe had a career night, almost 40, 38 points, but he had a double-double, 30-plus points and 10-plus assists, 11 on the night. Nick Nurse talked about the career night from VJ Edgecombe. He says, listen, well, he obviously started really fast, right? So that was right off the bat. He came out kind of getting to his spots and bolting up. He seemed really confident of just continuing to do that all night. And I'll tell you right now, that's what you want from VJ Edgecombe every night. Nick Nurse continued and said he did a really good job. The screen and rolls even when they got to the blitzing in the second half, he was making the right plays. He rejected a few and got downhill and made some good pass outs, etc. He stepped into some threes, but he was reading the offense, which is why he ended up with 11 assists. It is going to benefit this team in the future and in the present. If VJ Edgecombe continues to play with this aggression, this clear-headed aggression on the offensive end, and he's learning. He's learning extremely fast. VJ Edgecombe seems to be a sponge for this game of basketball. He picks up things fast, and they stick with him for a long time. So as long as you allow Paul George to fit in with the team and the current scheme of allowing VJ to cook and everybody else work off and play off of him, that's going to help this team come postseason. That's going to help this team come next season. That's going to help VJ in the long run of his career as well. So the best thing for Paul George's return, when he does return against the Chicago Bulls, is for Paul George to be the catch and shoot juggernaut that he was talking about being before his suspension. Catch and shoot, catch and three, maybe attack a little bit. But we do not have time for Paul George isolations. We don't want to see Paul George dribbling the air out the ball. If Paul George needs those reps to get comfortable, to feel more like himself, fine. But that's not the bread and butter that's going to make this team successful. Would love to see Paul George take a back seat to VJ Edgecombe when he returns, because he does return come Wednesday. And I want to see more comments. Like, comment, subscribe, as we provide you with daily discourse, daily discussion, and more Sixer news. Justin Edwards over Quentin Grimes. Tell me how you feel about that. I'm taking Edwards over Grimes. He's a better shooter. He's taller. He's younger. He's cheaper. And he's already on this team for seasons to come. You traded Jared McCain so you can re-sign Grimes. But listen, things change and people do too. Maybe you sign and trade Grimes. You keep Justin Edwards and you give him those minutes. Dominic Barlow's going to play. Jabari Walker should play. VJ Edgecombe should play. And that should round up the 9. I don't know if Adem Bona gets any postseason minutes. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll talk about the rotation. We'll take a deep dive in the 5 we want to see and the 5 we don't want to see at all. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get it, y'all.